Brought to you by... The legend has been reborn, introducing the new Hoyo de Monterrey. At Hoyo, they're about craft. From seed to soil to sunshine and rain, they obsess over their labors. With skillful hands and passionate souls, they create. They do not settle. They do not concede. They are Hoyo de Monterrey, and this is their craft. Experience the uniquely handcrafted Hoyo de Monterrey at hoyocigars.com. Paying homage to the Mecca of tobacco, Pinar del Rio, Cuba, Abe Flores opened his PDR cigar factory in the Dominican Republic over 10 years ago. Abe is one of the hottest boutique cigar makers in the industry today, earning the number 10 spot on Cigar Aficionado's Top 25 Cigars of 2014 with the Abe Flores 1975 Serie Privada. Abe and his team use Cuban blending traditions in a modern boutique Dominican factory. Smoke PDR cigars and cut, light, and taste what they love to do. Saga Cigars, makers of the Saga Golden Age. The Golden Age is a cigar that takes you back to the classic days of cigar smoking. Through the 6 generations of experience by the Reyes family, the Saga Golden Age delivers a timeless blend that uses the nobility of the tobacco to bring you the perfect balance of power and flavor. It narrates better than words the history of a family's tradition in tobacco, delivering a cigar much like the ones they used to smoke in the times of Hemingway. Saga Golden Age is a full-bodied, full-flavored Dominican Puro. With tobaccos from one farm, the blend features a Corojo 2006 wrapper and filler from original Cuban seeds grown in the Dominican Republic. Available in 4 sizes at an affordable price, the Saga Golden Age is sure to please and take you back on a journey to yesteryear. Brought to you by Rocky Patel Premium Cigars. The Tabaquero by Hamlet Paredes, developed and blended by Cuban master of tobacco, Hamlet Paredes. This cigar is an exciting addition to the Patel family, featuring traditional and rare sizes hand-picked by Hamlet himself. Smoke Tabaquero by Hamlet Paredes today. For more information, visit them on the web at rockypatel.com and be sure to follow Rocky Patel Premium Cigars on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geeks Show. This is our Stogies of the Week segment, which is pretty legendary, actually. Well, we're actually going back through some of the older episodes, doing some throwbacks. You might see that come up on our social media feeds. We've reviewed a lot of cigars in these segments. Will, why don't you kick us off?
So I smoked a lot of cigars this week, and I ain't last week. Some of them I can't talk about, and some of them I just couldn't do reviews on. But
you were on a trip, which unfortunately, as you can still tell by my lingering cough, I was not well enough to attend, and I do apologize for that. I was very sad. And even though I went on, we were kind of back-ending trips. I was going to go out there early, do some cigar stuff with Will, and then I had a computer security event in Orlando. I was able to make it to my security event in Orlando, but I didn't smoke any cigars, which is very sad.
Yeah, and at the pace I went at and smoked at, and a couple of the places, it would have, especially the Espinosa event, it would have been.
I might have needed hospitalization.
Yeah. I keep going back to the story when you had your wisdom teeth pulled, and you started smoking early, which was
too early,
which you made it worse. So, you were missed. Would have loved to have had you there, but
I missed everyone too.
We will go back.
Absolutely.
This was because we will do this again. But I smoked a cigar that this was kind of recommended to me by Stogie Santa. It's the L'Atelier Extension de la Racine ER15, which was the 2015 release of the Racine. That's the cigar that L'Atelier comes out with.
Was that like the Lonsdale size?
That's the Lonsdale size.
Okay.
Yep. The 6 3/4 by 43, specifically for the trade show. Highly recommended by Stogie Santa. And this didn't disappoint me at all. I thought it was a great cigar. Early on, there was a little bit of a bitter component to this cigar. But the funny thing is that I don't think that was a negative. I think it actually balanced out some of the other sweeter notes I was getting earlier on. I thought it worked very well. And then some of the bitterness kind of dissipated, but the cigar still smoked really, really good. I found the cigar had some kick to it. It was definitely medium to full in strength, close to full, and it's medium to full in body, going to full bodied in the second half. I like this size a lot. I think I talked about I don't like a lot of sweetness on a cigars, which this is why this was in my wheelhouse. Um, Great cigar, very well balanced. Give it a box split. I think it was one of
It's
the better
interesting, Will,
sizes.
when you talk about that bitter component, right?
Yeah.
And we talk about taste, bitter, sweet, salty, sour, savory. When we make cocktails, as we were talking about during the break, we make one of the quintessential cocktails in my wheelhouse, which is the old fashioned. It was one of the first cocktails ever created, hence the name. And it has that very distinct formula: bitter, sweet, some fruit, and bourbon, right? And that bitter component is an essential ingredient. So much so that if I go to a bar and I'm like, hey, can I get an old fashioned? And they're like, I don't know if I got bitters. And I'm like, nope, you can't make an old fashioned. Like, it's that you need to have bitters, which adds that bitter component. But you also add sugar to the cocktail as well, which balances off with that sweetness component. And it was very similar to how you described that cigar. And the bitter component is a part of it, because bourbon is kind of sweet.
Yeah.
And then that's also kind of balanced off with fruit, which happens to be an orange in this particular drink, which just, I love all of those different components because it kind of hits on a lot of those flavors on your palate, right?
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I need to do some. I needed to do some palate resetting this week, Will, and I can. I know you picked up on this when you looked at the cigars I smoked this week. Is I went back to some old standbys, and that's tends to be what I do if I took almost 2 weeks off from
I did the
smoking.
same thing. I did the same thing when I was sick.
Right? And you go back to cigars that you know the flavor profile to kind of rejuvenate your palate, and not like rejuvenate in a sense like you're going to drink some seltzer water and cleanse your palate, but smoke cigars that you know what the flavors are to kind of help your brain associate the flavors you're getting with a cigar with the flavors that you've got in your memory bank. So I went back to a cigar from Avo. This is the Intermezzo. This one came in a tubo, and it's a Robusto-sized cigar. This cigar had some age on it, Will, at least a couple of years, but the herbal tends to go into like a citrus note. Like when you smoke these cigars fresh, it's got this very heavy herbal note, which is, I like, in this blend, I like it. And herbal is presented in different ways. It tends to be more of a citrus note when you smoke these with age, Will, and some wood notes as well. And it really kind of helped me get back into the, smoking routine by having the cigar and really identifying with flavors that I know that I can pick out in a cigar. And I really enjoyed it. This was a great cigar. I would call these box-worthy for sure.
Yeah, I had the Intermezzo a couple weeks ago, and it was the newer one. It didn't have 2 years of age on it. I had it more as a fiver, but again, with a couple years of age, maybe this is another vintage of tobacco. I do like that blend a lot. That's the XO blend, by the way.
Yes, it is the XO blend. And this was the older one, I can tell, because the band in the tube was the old style.
Yeah, and they do make that. Actually, I had the non-tubo one, which I don't know if that's really going to make that much of a difference. But
no, probably
if it was sitting in that tube, if it was sitting in that tube for a while, you never know.
Yeah, it had like a little bit of that, like they get kind of like a moldy or mineral residue a lot of times when they sit in the tube for a while.
Yep.
Some people, myself included, will mistake that for plume. It's not. It's, I think, a mineral deposit or a mold that develops in there. I'd say 90% of the time, you just kind of wipe that off and it's fine.
Do you keep tube cigars in your humidor, or you take them out of the tube?
I go back and forth on it.
Me too.
Back and forth. I find it's a great question, Les. I find if the wrapper is really dark and oily and has the potential to hold a lot of moisture, I'm thinking that like Ashton VSGs that come in the tube, I tend to take those out because there's a lot of moisture content in that cigar, and if they sit in the tube too long, it can be problematic, I've found. So some I do take out, and others I do leave in the tube. Some people will twist the ends so that a little bit of air can get in there, and a little bit of the humidity can escape, is another tactic as well. We've talked about that a lot on the show in the past. The nice part about a tube is it really protects the cigar.
Avo 90th birthday.
Yeah, that was just happened a couple weeks ago, Will?
Yep, a couple weeks ago. And I actually I have it. I have not smoked it yet.
Excellent.
Yep.
Back to you, Will.
I went and actually pulled a cigar, and I took it on the trip with me, and I sort of smoked it in a hotel room. I'll just kind of leave it at that.
Probably a not sanctioned smoking hotel room.
Right.
Better not have been a Marriott.
Well, when Jared was on, he taught me a couple of tricks, as I'm just saying, so hopefully they worked. But I smoked the Tatuaje Mexican experiment, Robusto, and I was really surprised because I did put this up on Cigar Coop. I was really surprised at the amount of attention this cigar got for something that's almost 4 years old.
I was going to say that came out in like 2013 or so.
12.
12. Okay.
12. And it was famous because it was really one of the first times Pete Johnson, other than on one of the Monster series, had used a Mexican wrapper. And it was... Here was another interesting point. So I list the price of the cigar in the review, and it's $8, right? That was what the SRP price was. But I started getting a lot of comments saying people are, hunting these cigars down, and they were paying a lot more for these cigars, like $15. So I thought that was real interesting, and the fact that this cigar got some attention, it generated some comments as well as some traffic. That this is a cigar that people were still very interested in. I never thought this was the holy grail of Tatuaje by any means. I think it's a good cigar. It's in my book. It's a fiver set type of cigar. It's mellowed. This is from the original 2012 batch. And for people who don't know, this cigar primarily went to the Florida market. There was a few retailers that got it outside of Florida, but for the most part went to Florida. New England got it.
I was going to say I got it up here, Will, when it came out. I have some kicking around in my humidor too.
Did you get the Robusto or the Toro?
I think I have one of each. Maybe a couple of each kicking around my humidor, yeah.
The Toro went up to New England primarily, but again, some were allocated to some of the reps, some of the other sizes. So, and there even was a Bellicoso that was floating around as well, which is very rare to get. So there was a third size to this. I found the cigar mellowed a bit, so it was more of a medium. I remember it being more medium plus. But again, it's a solid cigar. It's a fiver. But people really love this cigar is what I'll just say. And there's, like I said, the fact that when I saw it was being hunted down, some of the prices it was really an eye opener. So I thought it was a good cigar. Again, it wasn't the holy grail in my book, but folks can check it out for sure if they can find it. This is a tough cigar to find.
All right, we'll go with tough cigars to find, Will. Our good friend Big Pete and I went to Mr. J's Havana Smoke Shop when they were having a tent sale. And they brought out some pretty amazing cigars, Will.
Yeah.
They were kind of cleaning out the back of their humidor. And I tell you what, there's no better time to be at a retailer when they want to clean out some of the stuff that's been sitting around for a while. And Pete and I did some trading. And Pete actually picked up this humidor. It was the Cuesta-Rey limited edition Pyramid number 9 humidor.
Yep.
And you can still find these online. You can kind of see them. Some of them were sold in the forum. Some of them were sold kind of like on an auction on some of these online retailers. It's kind of an interesting little story. You get a humidor, and you get 4 different wrappers, Will. You get a Connecticut. You get a Cameroon, a Maduro, and what was the other one? A Sungrown. All in that Pyramid number 9. It's a torpedo, as we were talking in the previous segment. Torpedo cigar in all these different wrappers. Now, the Cameroon is very interesting because the Cameroon wrapped Pyramid number 9 from Cuesta-Rey only came in this humidor. It's the only place you could get it.
It's the Stanford's, named after Stanford Newman Cameroon Reserve.
So they call it Stanford's Cameroon Reserve Pyramid number 9.
Like what age? Well, how old are these?
I couldn't find. It's a good question, Les, because I couldn't find how old these were. Will, I could tell by looking at the cellophane and seeing like there was plume on these cigars.
That's cool.
Yeah, they were real. They were old.
I have a Sanford Newman signed book. His book signed for me. Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
So I don't know how old these cigars were. I'd estimate probably at least 10 years on some of these cigars.
I think that's a fair. I don't know how old they are, but but I think they're going back pre-2008 for sure.
Yeah. So I smoked the Connecticut. Did I review the Connecticut on the show? Some of them I haven't posted yet.
I think you did. I think you reviewed the Connecticut on the show.
Pete says the humidor's from 2003. Thank you,
Wow.
Big Pete.
Wow.
So I think I reviewed the Connecticut on the show, Will.
Okay.
I smoked the Cameroon. I had high expectations for the Cameroon because I love the Cameroon wrapper. We did one of our most popular segments on the shows, and we talked about Cameroon wrappers. This one was a good cigar. Like the flavors were really unique. And I found that they were so unique that it didn't fit my wheelhouse. Like sometimes I find when you age a cigar, like it'll just embody this flavor profile, and you're like, wow, like I can really identify with this flavor, but it's not one that I really like. Like, I don't know, some people like Thai food, some people like Italian food, you know what I mean? Like, this one was like, to me, it was kind of like not as bad as Indian food it is to me, but it was just in like a category of flavors that I'm like, I'm really not identifying. Now, it was a very smooth cigar, very well balanced, burn draw construction was awesome, but it just had this mixture of what I called hay and earth that just didn't resonate with me, and I called it a 5-er, Will.
Hay and earth wouldn't resonate with me.
No,
either.
yeah, like even just saying hay and earth, like it's not something.
Hints of leather or so.
It lost that Cameroon sweetness. It sounds like.
It did not have a lot of sweetness.
Yeah, normally you want some of that Cameroon sweetness, and off that.
So were the humidors numbered?
Yes, they were. They made 2,500. I'm glad you brought that up because I did look that up, and I forgot to tell people that.
That's cool.
There were only 2,500 of these humidors made. And it was actually a functioning humidor. Came with the hygrometer and in the whole deal.
Have you guys been to J.C. Newman?
No, but
Will, you interviewed?
Will, that's a must see, by the way.
Yeah, Bobby is actually, and he actually gave me his card to call him when I'm in Tampa to go to go see it. So I just haven't gotten to Tampa yet.
Bobby, I mean, they're dear people and the Fuente building is unbelievable too. So the J.C. Newman factory with the clock, everything you read about is a must see. And Fuente just redid this old cigar-like factory, and those are two must-sees from that generation, whatever you want to call it. It's very cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
We'll continue down this line, Will, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I smoked a Cuesta-Rey Centro Fino Sun-Grown Pyramid No. 9. So this is the sun-grown wrapper. Now, the Cameroon had like this gigantic sleeve on it. This one doesn't. This was an awesome vintage cigar. I would call it fruity and sweet flavors. It was just enjoyable from start to finish. The flavors were just amazing. It was like I was eating a piece of fruit that was just had like a perfectly balanced with kind of like the
and
little
it's 13 years old.
It's 13 years old. And the flavors just perfectly melded in this cigar. I wouldn't let these sit for any longer. I need to smoke all these up right now. I wouldn't let them age anymore like they're in prime smoking condition right now, Will. Really, really loved this cigar. Have you had these before? The Pyramid No. 9 I'm finding is a very popular, the Cuesta-Rey Pyramid No. 9 in these different wrappers is a very popular cigar.
I have not smoked the Cameroon. I have smoked some of the other Cuesta-Reys in other sizes, but I have not had that Cameroon. When we get Bobby back on the show, and I do want to get him back on the show because I want to talk. We didn't talk enough about Cuesta-Rey, and I think it's a brand I'd like to really. We've talked now several episodes on this, and I want to peel the onion on this a bit with him.
Absolutely,
there's some very interesting things with that. It's a line that I'm kind of looking forward to re-exploring.
You'll go nuts with the amount of history and relics and stuff that they have there. The packaging, and I'm telling you, he'll take you for the tour of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tell you, he was just talking to him, one of the true gentlemen of the industry.
Easily.
Yes. Yeah, and the history of that family is very interesting.
Yes.
How they kind of made their way down to Tampa and everything.
Yes. Cleveland.
Cleveland, yep, that's where he started.
Yep.
Back to you, Will.
So I talked about this in, I think, the first segment. I went and smoked the Asylum. Actually, it's called the 80 by 8. So it's an 8 by 80 cigar. Why I smoked this is because we try every cigar. I had smoked the 6 by 80 in this cigar. And
That's a big cigar too.
It-
What was
it-
the LFD that I smoked? Was it 10 by 60?
10 by 60.
That was the other largest cigar we smoked. 10 by 60 and now 8 by 80, which are probably pretty similar in terms of the amount of tobacco, right?
Yeah, I went about 3 hours and 15 minutes with this cigar.
Yeah, that was I was like 3.5, almost 4 for the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see some pictures when we post the Stogie feed. They're already up on Coop, but I have some comparisons of what this cigar looks like versus a Robusto. It is a behemoth, okay? I had to cut this cigar. I didn't have Les's cutter, but I had to cut. I used 3 punches. I used a punch, and I made a clover, actually.
I saw that, Will. That was good.
Did you
Yeah,
take a picture? That's a good photo,
Yeah.
too.
He
Yeah,
did. He has a
it's
picture where he punched three
So
three
the
holes in
80's
the cigar.
that wide that you can use 3 punch holes.
3 punch holes in the head of
Wow.
the cigar. Yeah.
I didn't know how else. I could not
Yeah.
use a cut on this thing.
Ginzu knife.
That's right.
Yeah.
The Sawzall.
Yeah.
And this is a behemoth of a cigar in your hand. It's very well packed on top of that. So there's no soft spots in this thing. The cigar had good flavor. It's not anything that's going to be revolutionary. In fact, this one actually smoked, I thought, even better than the 6x68 flavor wise. Because I think this one had a little more age on it than I had it. What I'll comment is the combustion was excellent on this cigar. It wasn't one that required a lot of maintenance in terms of keeping it burning straight. Had a decent ash on the thing. The 80 ring gauge in your mouth is going to be the most difficult thing to deal with, which is why I talked about that Casa Fernandez having the torpedo tip is a lot better. The other thing is it's not a very complex cigar. So, but it's one of these cigars, if you got 3 hours and you're doing something, right, and you want to just smoke a cigar, and you're doing it actually is a low maintenance cigar to kind of keep.
Because you have a lot of tobacco to burn, you probably didn't have to touch it up because you got a lot of
Right.
tobacco to burn in there, a lot of surface area.
Yeah. I've smoked the Asylum 13s in other sizes. I wouldn't go to this size first by any means.
I like the 6x60 in the Asylum, and I'm not a huge 6x60 fan, but it smokes really well.
Well, they're blended to be bigger ring gauges.
Yeah. Now, what's the price point on the 8x80, Will?
$10.
Wow.
You get a lot of cigar for $10.
For a 4-hour cigar.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a try one. I think, hey, look, if you don't like big ring gauge cigars, don't buy this cigar. But
Right.
this was a fun cigar to smoke. It's not going to be, I bet if we even talked to Tom Lazuka, he would say this is not the size he smokes. But it was a fun cigar to smoke. Like I said, it didn't have any revolutionary complexity, but again, it was fun. It smoked well.
There's something fun about smoking the largest cigar you've ever smoked or the fattest cigar you ever smoked. When I smoked a 10x60, I walked next door and it like touched the door as I was walking out because it stuck so far out in front of me while I put it in my mouth to open the door and it touched the door, like the ash touched the door.
Well, there's something fun about smoking a 2003
Absolutely,
Cuesta-Rey, too.
Exactly.
This is a really cool segment, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, we had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah, so this is a great. Like I said, It's a try one, is what I would say. It's by no means a bad cigar, and it's a well constructed cigar too. For that, they actually put some real effort, I think, into making sure that cigar performed well.
I want to talk about a Cuban cigar that I smoked. This is a Sancho Panza Bellicoso. This is a redo. A lot of our regular listeners probably know I picked up a box a few years ago. I don't remember the box date. I probably should have put that in there. Gorgeous looking cigar. What got me turned on this cigar, speaking of vintage, is one of my friends gave me a Sancho Panza from 1998, and it was awesome. It was awesome. I bought a box fresh by meaning like the box date was probably a year or two from when I got it, and it was kind of just okay. And then I smoked another one, and it was a little better, maybe a year later. And then last summer, I smoked one, so it's probably got 3 or 4 years from the box date, and it was pretty amazing. I was like, wow, this is really good. Now, this one, unfortunately, when I smoked, was plugged. But I wanted to put that in there purposely, Will, because as I smoke these cigars, they've smoked good. The first 3 or 4 I smoked out of the box was good, and then I hit a plugged one. and we know this is a problem with Cuban cigars. No one's
Yeah.
going to deny the fact that when you buy a box of Cuban cigars, you're going to get some that are plugged. But it's still a box-worthy cigar. When I think about smoking the cigar last summer, it was amazing. And I just want to point out, like, does that mean I'm not going to go buy another box? No. If you can get them at a reasonable price point, and right now, with the embargo, the price you pay for a Cuban cigar can be all over the map, right? You can get them at a reasonable price. You can actually go to Cuba and bring back $100 worth of rum and cigars now, right? So you can get them at a reasonable price. A lot of people pay a premium, and they kind of get that reputation like, oh, Cuban cigars aren't worth it. And I agree. If you pay, $15 or $20 for one cigar, and you buy a box, and 10%, 15% are plugged, that's not I don't care how good it smokes like. That's not a whole lot of value for me. If you can get this cigar at an $8 to $10 price point and buy a box, and you got the patience to age it, totally worth it and box worthy, in my opinion. I wanted to use that as kind of a talking point for that, Will, to kind of give our thoughts and opinions about Cuban cigars, which is really just the straight facts, right?
Exactly.
Back to you, Will.
I smoked really one of these cigars that's a bucket list cigar I wanted to smoke. It's the Fuente Opus X Forbidden X13 Keeper of the Flame.
Did I send this one to you, Will?
Yes, you did.
Okay, good.
And it was a absolute bucket list cigar I wanted to try. These came out at the end of 2011 for the first time around the time for the Fuente 100th anniversary.
I forgot where I got this one, too. It might have been at Casa Fuente, or I might have picked it up came in a sample pack. I picked it up at a local retailer, too. They came in some of those like 5-pack in those gorgeous lacquered boxes that they come out with every year. So that's another way to get this cigar as well. They're still expensive. Either way, I got them, and they're still an expensive cigar.
Their SRP is $15, but again, I think you're going to pay more for these.
Yeah, because you're either going to get it in a sampler, or you got to go place like Casa Fuente and pay a little bit of a premium for them.
Yep. But this was so I had very, very high expectations for this cigar. This could be potential Oasis material. And it definitely, which is our highest rating. And it started out performing Oasis level. I mean, this thing was great. I did think the flavors were just amazing in that first half. There was just tons of flavor. I thought in the second half the cigar got a little less amazing, but not bad per se. But it got a little more. I think some of the wow factor did wear off in the second half of the cigar. That's not to be a negative of this cigar. It's still a great cigar. I ended up coming out with a box worthy on this cigar. I've only smoked one of these too, so I keep that in mind when you smoke one. But I liked the 6 1/4 by 49 Churchill in the Keeper of the Flame. I had not smoked any of the other sizes in this line. This is the first time I've had this blend. But
I'm curious about the blend too, because I'm going to ask you about the blend, and I'm going to guarantee they haven't disclosed anything about this blend.
They haven't disclosed anything about this blend other than
they do that.
They said, well, there is one little tidbit they give out that the wrapper comes from a Fuente farm, so I'm assuming it's Dominican.
The wrapper's Dominican because it comes from Fuente farm.
Assuming, unless they're getting it from some other farm somewhere else, so that's why I'm kind of, yeah. So,
and it's a dark wrapper.
It's a beautiful wrapper. And like I said, it's a very good cigar. By no, I'm giving it a box worthy. I'm not saying this is not. And like I said, I've smoked one of these. It's a cigar. If you're a Fuente fan, I would absolutely try it. It's got some really, really good flavors. It's still got a lot of Fuente characteristics to it as well, but it's definitely not a cookie cutter blend by any means. I'd say it's in the medium to medium full range overall with this cigar. But again, a cigar, I definitely I would smoke it again. I'd get a box of these if I can find them tomorrow because it's that good a cigar.
I went back to Avo to kind of reset my palate. This is probably one of the first cigars I started smoking when I got back into smoking after a couple of weeks off, and I went back to an Avo number 3. Is this a class? This is the older classic.
I thought it was the newer classic when I looked at it.
Really? I thought the newer classic was more of an orange tube. Because I got one of the newer classics in a Robusto too.
No, it's a tan tube because the orange
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
This is a Churchill size cigar. It's always great in the morning with coffee. I mean, I rated it box split because I work it in my morning rotation. You smoke one of these cigars in the morning with coffee when your palate is fresh. It's just a great experience. You get a little bit of those herbal notes, a little bit of wood notes, touch of sweetness. It's just a great morning cigar. I really enjoyed it, and I rated it a box split.
Yeah, that's why I'm anxious to smoke the 90th, because the 90th, they're starting as a base point with the classic blend. And then they're putting a different wrapper and binder around it and tweaking the filler a bit. But they use the classic as a starting point for the 90th. That's why it's called the classic covers.
And I like the Avo regular production lines for that reason, because they're milder cigars and they have a lot of character. And that can be a difficult thing to find in today's market. Find some that meets like your flavor profile. Avo does it for me.
Oh, I agree.
Back to you, Will. See, I would have thought you rated your Opus X as Oasis.
Yeah, that was kind of meant to be a curveball.
Interesting.
So the Oasis cigar is probably an unknown cigar. So let me tell a little bit of the story. It's the Crassier Golden Blend. Now, the folks have heard of this Crassier probably on the show, some of them. They came out with a cigar last year called the Golden Blend 10 years. But this is the original de Crassier Golden Blend. And I had smoked this cigar before, and I had very, very high. It was very high in my book, so I had smoked it before, but not in the double Corona size. Look, I'll tell a little backstory, because I thought maybe it was the setting that had a lot to do with this, but I think the cigar is that good though. I was at an Espinosa gathering of it was called La Zona Palooza, and basically Eric Espinosa brought in a bunch of media people, consumers, and retailers, and basically hosted them for 3 days. De Crassier's, who's owned by Santana Diaz, a sponsor of the show, disclaimer, makes great cigars, was there. And Santana had basically opened up what's called he has basically a humidor at this place called Palmeras Beach Club in Miami. And I knew about it, and basically they sell de Crassier cigars exclusively there. So Santana goes, "Hey, how would you like to come to my beach club on Sunday night?" And then, you saw some of the pictures I put up from this thing. So I said, "Yeah."
You look like you're having a rough trip, Will.
Oh my goodness!
I know you suffered through it for us. Yeah.
So Sunday afternoon, I was exhausted. Okay, so he gives me the address. I start driving to this thing. I get basically to almost Biscayne Bay, right, which is the coast of Miami, and I have to go over this little causeway to an island. Okay, it's a gated island. I have to give them my name to get on this thing to get to the Palmeras Beach Club, right? And I meet Santana there, and this place is absolutely gorgeous. Basically, I'm overlooking. I have a view of Miami Beach and Key Biscayne, and we have this basically private area where we're able to eat and smoke. Santana pulls out this cigar, and I love this. This is one of my favorite blends of his in the double Corona. This thing, and I kept saying maybe it's the setting, and I kept trying to put that out of my head. This cigar was just that good. It was just an amazing. It's a Costa Rican cigar with an Ecuadorian wrapper, Dominican binder, and Costa Rican and Dominican fillers. I'd say it's a medium-bodied cigar. It's double Coronas, in my opinion, they're tough cigars. They don't always.
We don't see a lot of those coming on the market, Will.
No, and there's a lot of them that just don't perform well. I think it's a very tough. I've talked to Stogie Santa about this. This is just everything you'd want in a cigar in terms of there's sweetness, there's a lot of variances. It's a good medium-bodied cigar, so it's not going to overpower you. There was a little bit of breeze that we had. This cigar wasn't flinching in terms of the combustion was perfect on this cigar. It was absolutely worthy of the Oasis rating. It is. And again, I know Santana's a sponsor of the show, but we don't give out a lot of Oasis. I don't give out a lot of Oasis ratings.
At all. No. This might be your first one this year, Will.
I think it's the first one this year. The last one I think I gave out was the Debonair A last year.
Yep.
So Will, this wasn't on your bucket list then, right?
I had it before.
Okay.
So I had this cigar, but not in this size. And I'd say it was definitely a box-worthy cigar. But when I had it in this size, I was blown away. And there was another person with us that Santana had invited who was blown away by this cigar as well. This cigar is actually available if you go to mikecigars.com. Because I'm going to be getting some more of these. I'm going to try to weasel some from this. We have an interview with Santana as well that's going to be coming up on Stogie Geek Shorts. Great guy. I mean, and who's very. I mean, just I tell you, the Palmeras Beach Club. It's private, but anyone can go there. I would encourage everyone, if you're in the Miami area, take a trip. The food is great. It's not overly pricey either. You would think for a private beach club it'd be like 5-star pricing, but it's not. You know, it's very reasonable. They have a great.
And we can mention your name at the gatehouse to let us in.
Hey,
How are we going to get by the guardhouse?
all they want to actually, I found that out. All they want to do is they want to know who's there. So just tell them where you're going, and you can go there. It's not like you had to have your name on the list. There is what I found out. So it's because there are some private residences on that as well. So they just kind of track where you're going there for security purposes. But there's some, absolutely. If you're in Miami, it's a great place to go on a Sunday night. Where Santana was telling me it's not as crowded on a Sunday night either. They have a Bacardi. They have this kind of covered area sponsored by, I think it's Bacardi, where you can eat dinner outside too. So you can smoke there. There's outdoor areas to smoke. You can't smoke inside. And Santana built the whole humidor himself too. So he actually did all the construction. And he was showing me around that thing as well. So it's real nice. So definitely check it out.
Great story, Will.
Yeah. That was the part I said, Paul, basically, that was the part I felt most bad for you on. So the good news is...
Try not to think about it, Will.
We will go back.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, let's see. I smoked a couple cigars from General, the Partagas and the Hoyo, Will.
Yep.
Both provided to us by General, who's also a sponsor.
Yep.
A Partagas Extra Fuerte Robusto Gordo.
Was that the size you smoked? It looked like a Robusto Gordo.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like a 58 ring gauge.
Okay, then it's not the Robusto Gordo. There's a bigger. It's the 58 you had.
It
didn't look.
It's 58 that I had. It was
Okay.
good. I rated it a 5-er. I thought it had good flavors, a good smoking cigar. I would imagine you get these at a pretty reasonable price, Will.
Yeah, they're under. I think they're in the $8 range. It's a good cigar. Actually, I've had that. My favorite size in that one. And you smoked this. I think you smoked the Gigante.
Yes.
Actually, it is in the double Corona. Actually, was the surprising best size of that blend. I thought in that size. So it's definitely
one I would revisit in other sizes because I thought it was a good blend.
I'm sorry, you smoked the Supremo.
Yes, that sounds more familiar.
Yeah.
And then I smoked the new Hoyo Robusto by Hoyo de Monterrey. That's the name of the cigar. It's called the new Hoyo.
Yep.
And this is a direct to brick and mortar release only cigar.
Yeah. So there's a little story with this cigar, and it was an interesting marketing strategy by General. So last year they came out with a Hoyo 150th anniversary cigar, and they used that same wrapper that's on this cigar.
And what's the wrapper, Will?
It's a Jalapa shade wrapper.
Okay.
And it was they used very similar packaging on that cigar as well. And actually I smoked that 150th anniversary. I thought it was a really, really good cigar. And what they did is they decided to it's a Habano shade. I'm sorry, not a Esteli Habano shade. So they actually went and brought it back, and have introduced it as a regular production line going forward. And you may have seen we've been running the ad on this cigar. So it's going to be they're kind of going with a different direction with Hoyo de Monterey right now. It sounds like they're going to be more cigars branded under this going forward.
And it's interesting. It's unlike a lot of other Hoyo de Monterey cigars that I've had, which tend to be more medium bodied. This was it wasn't a killer strength wise, but it had a lot of body to it. It had a lot of meat to it. Like when I first lit it up, it was kind of earlier in the day, and I was like, before I had lunch, and I was like, whoa, this has got a lot of body to it, which was really a positive, in my opinion, for the cigar to have that much body. It was a good cigar. It had some nice chocolatey notes to it. It was very smooth. I just thought the cigar was a little young.
I think it needs a little more time as well.
Yeah, I rated it a 5 Will, but I would put the caveat on that. Like if we could put an asterisk on it and say, I'm going to revisit this cigar in 6 months and revisit it again in about a year. And I think the cigar is going to get a lot better with age. I think that chocolatey component is definitely going to come to the forefront in this cigar. And it's going to be a much higher rating as this cigar ages. Right now it's a 5, but I think it's going to go up in our rating scale for sure.
Here's the best part. That cigar is a $6.59 cigar. I mean, the prices go in the sizes from $5.49 to $6.99. Very good value price cigar.
Absolutely. Buy some of these and put them away for sure. Definitely for that price range.
Yeah, I agree.
We got an Unbanded to do.
Yep.
Is this 109?
109.
Unbanded 109. Now, what's interesting about this Unbanded 109 is we saw the cigar. It didn't have a band on it, but it had packaging on it. And I think Will and I knew what it was when it was packaged. But we still decided we still wanted to do it as kind of like an Unbanded.
Yeah.
So, Will, what did you think of, and there's a picture of Unbanded 109. It's a gorgeous wrapper on the cigar.
Yeah.
What did you think of this one?
Assuming that this is the cigar I think it is, it's my favorite Vitola in this particular line.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great cigar. It's got a very earthy component to it. It's got some spice to it at times. It's a 6x54, I believe, and it has a nice amount of body to it as well. But it's a Nicaraguan Puro, if I'm guessing right. But if you look, but the reason why we know what this cigar is because of the way it is packaged.
Right. Which is good marketing from the company, too, to identify with the packaging and just know what the cigar is.
But originally we said, well, we can't. I said, no, we got to smoke it in case maybe we're wrong, right?
Right.
But I don't think we're wrong. But this cigar comes packaged in foil.
Yes.
Silver foil.
I really liked it. I smoked it again today, Will, and I really liked it. I think it's just a great, easy smoking cigar. I thought it had some earth components, like you said, Will, but it had some woody notes too. Woody
notes as well.
It has this body that is, I think, very specific to the manufacturer and has a lot of those characteristics that kind of set it apart and have it be very unique. And again, just very easy smoking, great flavors, and I really enjoyed it. I would call this a box split, in my opinion.
I agree. Box split is where I had this.
And can we put the picture up with the foil? Yeah, so there it is in the foil. So as soon as I saw this, I knew it was MJ12, correct, Will?
Yep, Luzioni, MJ12, yep.
And now, is this in the Epernay line?
No, it's in the original documents line.
Original documents, okay.
Which is Dion's first line.
Yeah. It was a great cigar. And what did you say? Was it 58, 6x58?
6x54.
54. So it's a pretty big ring gauge, but it delivers a lot in the flavor department.
Yeah. There's two sizes in that line that I really like. It's the MJ12 and it's the number 2. Is the other size, which is the belly. I think those two really are the best in that line.
Yeah, so I like this one. I like this Unbanded thing that we're doing too.
Cool. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming we are correct.
We are correct. Yes, it is the MJ12. Yep.
Did you pull the band off that?
I had a couple.
Okay.
I have the advantage that I'm right here in the studio with access to all the Unbanded. So, yeah.
You have to get neutral party involved.
We do have neutral parties involved, but for this one, it was a kind of a special case. Like I knew what it was. So usually I have an envelope that I open and all that stuff, and I make it a little more dramatic.
Yeah.
But this one was kind of it was a learning moment for the neutral party.
No, but
they have to be a little sneakier with Will and I because we can identify.
It's a very good cigar, and I felt it was still worth talking about. And I kept wondering, maybe we're being fooled here.
Right.
But when he smoked it, it's very clear.
Yeah, it was very clear that it is this cigar. And I've smoked this cigar before and rated it very high as well. So.
In fact, I think this is better than when I originally first smoked it, too.
Well, it was interesting because I was in the humidor, and Brenda helps us choose next door helps us choose some of the Unbanded. Obviously not with my help because I can't know what it is. And I was choosing some cigars, and she's like, I wanted to give that to you Unbanded. I'm like, that's okay. I'm like, I'm going to buy this cigar today, and I don't even remember what it was now. And I'm like, a couple of weeks from now, I'm going to give it to us Unbanded. That way, I come on the show knowing what the cigar is, knowing what I smoked, and I'm going to give it a rating. Then a few weeks from now, I'm going to smoke that same cigar Unbanded. I've talked to our friends in the industry. I think it was Lito Gomez that was telling me. He's like, no one can really tell what a cigar is. He's like, you could give everyone cigars that are unbanded to 3 people that have been in the business for 30 years. He's like, you can't tell what it is. Now, Peritos, specific one filler tobaccos, like the same priming from the same plant rolled into one single cigar. He's like, yeah, you can gain an understanding what those are. But once you put a blend together, identifying what that cigar is just by smoking it blind, this is like, no one gets that right. It's like next to an impossible.
You know what's
so I'm like, now I want to rate, I'll smoke it now, know when it is. I'll give it a rating on the show. I'll be happy. Then a few weeks from now, I'll smoke an Unbanded. I'm probably not even then going to be able to choose what it is, even though I've got like it tipped in my favor. I'm not going to be able to figure out what it is. Then I'm going to give it another rating. And I'm like, I hope they match. I'm like, but a certain percentage of the time, I'm going to rate that cigar less. And a certain percentage of the time, I might rate that cigar more when I smoke it Unbanded. And that's the whole purpose of Will and I going back and smoking these cigars Unbanded, is to keep us in check and is to not have any preconceived notions about it. So
Yeah, I know a couple weeks ago we went with the Headley Grange, and that was a cigar that didn't really wow me, and I was much more impressed with it.
Absolutely.
When we had it, so you just never know. We do need to restock the Unbanded. I think that was the last one I had. So,
we'll get some out. Yeah, probably tomorrow. I'll send Keith over and they'll do their sneaky stuff.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Contest question. Oh, we do have a prize pack. Do we have a picture of the prize pack? We don't have a picture of the prize pack. Oh. See, we gave the production people all those nice comments, and now we don't have a prize pack picture. We do have a prize pack for this episode 181. It is something fabulous. It's probably people next door scurrying to go through my humidor and find what the prize pack is. But we do have a prize pack for episode 181.
Yes, we do.
And the question is, based on our interview with Les, is what do you use to clean the jets in the lighter? We talked about cleaning cutters and we talked about lighter maintenance, but specifically there is only one thing that we talked about.
Yes, we did.
That you would use to clean the jets in a butane cigar lighter. Here comes Keith with prize pack 181.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Keith. You're gonna have to or throw it. That works too. Oh, and it's actually the Partagas that I smoked. Will the Supremo? Did we say it right? Hold on, read it this way.
The Supremo. The Partagas?
Partagas Extra Forte. Yeah, Supremo. It says it right on the label. You get 5 of those in prize pack 181.
Very nice.
This is when we said that we like smoking. These have some age on them too. The cellophane's kind of getting a little brown on these. So
yeah, because we did the Partagas campaign back in September.
Yeah, so these have been aging in our humidor. So you get 5 of these. Send the correct answer to the show at StogieGeeks.com. And Lynn's got a nice Bovita pack in there, and we'll send these.
And we'll put a V cut in there too.
We'll stick a V cut in there, right in there. You can put it right in the bag right after the show, Les.
Yep.
We'll stick a V cutter from Calibri in there. Since the question was based on our interview, thank you very much, Les. So you win 5 cigars and an awesome V cutter, which I tell you what, I love my V cutter. 5 stars. I don't. Do we have ratings for accessories? We talked about creating we have a unique rating system.
I'm catching on to the unique rating system.
Yeah, it's a very unique rating system.
You may have to do an accessory of the week for a time.
Yeah. But it would be a definite, buy one of these, I guess, would be in our rating system. You want to have at least one of these V cutters, maybe 2. Maybe one for the car and one for your man cave. And maybe one to keep in your pocket. Maybe you have 3, right, is my recommendation.
At a minimum.
Yeah, at a minimum for these cutters. So,
I would say with the cut that I have from IPCBR, and they still make this or similar.
Yeah.
Get one for your house, get one for your cigar club to have in your locker.
Absolutely.
Easily. Yep. So you don't lose it and you're not traveling with it.
Les, thank you very much for appearing on the Stogie Geek Show.
I loved it.
It was a lot of fun having you here. Thank you for bringing all the accessories.
That was the fastest 3 hours of radio I've ever been. That was awesome.
Yeah, this is
it's
the
good
long
seeing
show.
you. Hopefully we'll get together again.
I always see you in Rhode Island, but I will definitely see you at IPCBR. So I will
Excellent.
definitely provide
Thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next week on the Stogie Geek Show. Don't forget, May 9th, we're going to be broadcasting at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Mondays. So there's a time change starting May 9th. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Good show. Thanks, everyone.
What was the high rating? Quad?
What's that?
What's his highest rating is for a quad?
Oasis?
Oasis.
The Oasis.
Very
Yes.
rare to get the Oasis.
Oasis.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll give this cutter an. I mean, like I said, this cutter is just it stood the test of time.
Will, you have to get one of these V cutters.
Oh, I'm there.
I'm telling you, I've not been a big fan of V cutters till I used this one.
That's great.
I've been very critical of V
I'm
cutters.
gonna get it. If you guys are telling me it's that good, I'll get it.
If you put your headset on back on, unless you can, Will's still on, you can talk to him.
If you're telling me it's that good, I will get it.
Big Pete attested to it too. He was like, "Wow,
Yeah,
this is pretty awesome."
Hey, Will, can you do me a favor? Can you
Yeah.
send me an email to what's my email? LMANN at Calibri COLIBRI.com with a ship to address.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate that. Yeah. Hey, Les, I got to get on your press release information too.
And I'll get that from Jimmy Muto. He's in Asia right now.
Okay.
He's back. He left last Saturday. He's back a week from. But yeah.
Yeah, I want to make sure we give you your product coverage.
Well,
if you have
that's
stuff
fine.
coming out.
But yeah, I can't believe you have that IPCPR cutter.
Yeah, that's
Les, I'm
pretty
telling
fun.
you, I'm
That is great. You know, it's
Yeah,
funny.
I
We've
mean-
done so much, and we have some of those later, like all the private label stuff that we do, and all the
Yeah.
like we keep all those stuff too. That one's a cool one too, and it was I picked out the colors. It's like the New Orleans Saints are black
Yeah,
and kind of
black gold.
goldish.
It is.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm not the only one who still has this cutter and uses it.
Yep.
From that group we had a couple of guys with the retailer he's no longer in business right now, but they still have this cutter as well. So it's not just me saying it.
But hey, listen, next time you're in Tampa, you got to go see. I think on the top of Newman's building it says Homo Cuesta-Rey cigars too, and you can see it right from like it's not 415. I don't know. It's that main highway that takes you from the airport out.
Yeah.
And so literally on the left side, so that would probably be the east side, I guess, of the highway is Cuesta-Rey, is J.C. Newman. And then underneath, kind of on the outskirts of Ybor City, is Fuente's building. Mm-hmm. And they redid this whole building brick by brick, wood by wood. It's unbelievable. And he just bought the tract of land across the street for his distribution, all that stuff.
Yep.
It's amazing. And then obviously Borschowitz's store, the new Davidoff store, is nuts.
I was just with Borshowitz